We continue a special coverage on decoding Chinese modernization. Now, last October, if you remember, the CPC National Congress set a task of building China into a great modern socialist country in all respects and to advance the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation on all fronts through a Chinese path to modernization. This year is the first year for fully implementing the guiding principles from the Congress. Today, we focus on advancing rural vitalization. The report to the 20th National Congress says the most challenging and arduous task that China faces in building a modern socialist country remains in the rural areas. And China's #1 central document also stresses the need to promote rural vitalization and accelerate agricultural and rural modernization. Now, as the weather warms, farmers in some areas of China are busy working. The annual spring farming season is from February to May nationwide. Spring crops contribute about 60% of China's annual grain output. Farmers in Fujian, Yunnan, Hubei and Yunnan provinces are busy on the paddy fields. With the help of greenhouses, breeding centers and mechanized plows, farmers are able to shorten the time of field management significantly. In Shanxi and Shandong provinces, farmers are in the process of soil preparation and pest control. Many of them are also busy cultivating fruit and vegetable seedlings in preparation for large-scale planting. In China's Henan province, 5 priorities have been set out in order to achieve rural vitalization. And these include ensuring food security and giving new life to rural industries. Cho Yi-sin reports from Zhengzhou.
For thousands of years, Henan province has been an agricultural powerhouse, relying on its fertile farmland and human industry to cultivate bountiful crops. Today, it is capitalizing on new technologies and new strategies to increase the quality and quantity of production while benefiting all those who live here. Over the past 5 years, this has helped more than 7 million people out of poverty while continuing to feed China's growing appetite for wheat and other grains. The province's objectives are set out in 5 priorities towards rural revitalization laid out by the Henan Provincial Party Committee Rural Work Conference. And this includes ensuring food security, revitalizing rural industries, consolidating the achievement of poverty alleviation, providing a livable and beautiful countryside, and improving rural governance. And the achievement of these objectives will build on the work done in recent years, which has transformed food production. Henan province has developed a world-class crop seed breeding industry to increase yield. The land area available for agriculture has expanded, the mechanization rate in the farming sector has risen to 87%, and Henan province has also worked to promote the high-quality development of rural industries through digitization, standardization, and clustering.
The concept first brought up in the 19th National Congress prioritized the development of agriculture areas to accelerate modernization. After the country's poverty alleviation scheme managed to eradicate extreme poverty at the end of 2020, China's top leaders sped up rural vitalization from 2021. We have some stunning figures from 2017 and 2021. For instance, a 28.9% increase in per capita disposable income of rural residents in China, which helped narrow the income gap between urban and rural residents from 2.71 times to 2.5 times. The penetration of digital agriculture in China had risen from 6.5% to close to 10%. And also, at the end of 2022, marked 8 consecutive years that the country's grain output surpassed 650 million tons. And last October, the 20th CPC National Congress report proposed greater emphasis on building China into a global agricultural powerhouse, which led to an acceleration of rural vitalization measures nationwide. At the start of this year, #1 central document for 2023 pledged to advance rural vitalization and modernization. And that is the first policy paper released by the central authorities every year. And this is the 20th #1 central document to focus on agricultural and rural growth. The document outlined 9 tasks, from ensuring grain supply and bolstering high-quality rural industries to increasing farmers' incomes and developing a beautiful countryside. And the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs said the country's grain production will increase by 50 billion kilograms, giving the strong base of 650 billion kilograms. The annual per capita disposable income of Chinese farmers in 2022 increased to 20,133 yuan, and that's roughly $2,955, surpassing the 20,000 yuan mark for the first time. This is greater emphasis on increasing the employment and income of farmers by improving the efficiency of agricultural operations. With its total grain output being the highest in the world, China has basically achieved self-sufficiency in grain food, but daunting tasks lie ahead on the path to agricultural modernization and its goal to grow bigger as a global agricultural powerhouse. Back to you in the studio, Gus.
Hona, those are some impressive achievements. Thank you for that extensive report. Now, in its modernization drive over recent years, one critical area for the Chinese government has been the countryside. Efforts have been made in rural areas to help reach the idea of common prosperity. Our reporter Chen Tong visits a village in the country's coastal province of Zhejiang to find out more.
This is Miaojia village in China's eastern Zhejiang province. With a total population of over 3,000 people, it's not a big village, but a very modern one.
This is called Happiness Square. Public facilities here are modern. There's equipment that you won't even always find in cities, like these machines that test your physical fitness. It's hard to imagine this is a public square hidden in the village.
Lu Rongjie, party secretary of Miaojia village, said the village used over 10 million yuan to renovate the square in 2021.
Villagers said they are living very close and they need a place with more equipment. So we decided to expand the old square and bring more facilities here.
Where did the money come from? Part of the funding came from government subsidies, but over the past 2 years, Miaojia village has been trying very hard to expand its collective income too, from property leasing, tourism, and cooperatives.
Collective income must rely on multiple sources of income. Only one industry can now support the development of one village. Our collective income reached 14.8 million yuan last year. Only large collective income can do more things to benefit villagers.
And now, Miaojia village is using some 5 million yuan from its collective income to provide more subsidies to all the local villagers each year. 69-year-old Xu Genjing now works at a cooperative in the village. His family now earns some 200,000 yuan a year, including a salary at a cooperative, a pension from the government, rent from his property, and dividends from the village.
We are happy to receive the money because everyone can get it. Dividends are increasing each year. Last year we received 600 yuan and this year we got 800. 3 of our family have a residence permit here and we received a total of 3,000 or 4,000 yuan this year.
In 2022, disposable income per capita in the Miaojia village came in at over 56,000 yuan, 20,000 yuan more than the average in Zhejiang province. But the village secretary is not satisfied.
We need to bring more high-end professionals to the village to make it more energetic. In addition, we have many affairs in the village, such as tourism reception, elderly care, and property management. We used to hire third-party companies, but I want to establish our own company, and then let villagers work at the company too.
Miaojia village is far from the only village in China that is putting efforts to reach common prosperity. Nationwide, disposable income in rural areas reached over 20,000 yuan in 2022, a year-on-year increase of over 4%. The growth rate is faster than in urban areas, further shortening urban-rural income gap to realize China's process of modernization. Chen Tong, CGTN, Jiaxing, Zhejiang Province.
I want to continue the discussion with Professor Liu Baocheng, Dean of the Center for International Business Ethics at the University of International Business and Economics in Beijing. Professor Liu, thank you for joining us. It's always good to see you. Now, China's grain output has exceeded 650 million tons for 8 consecutive years. How important is it to keep such a growth momentum?
Traditionally, we have seen that grain is really the heavily mandate for people. It is the survival line for 1.4 billion people. And right now, due to the pandemic and due to the Ukraine crisis, China is further reminded that the disruption of supply in terms of food and nutritional materials are really detrimental. So therefore, it is there to further bolster China's resolve and confidence to go forward for green production and also for the industrialization of the Chinese agriculture so that the processed food can be more maintained with a high quality, and in the meantime to maintain the green growth in the Chinese rural areas so that it's not only the food security but also the food safety is also there to deliver to the quality life of the Chinese people.
Now, as the country aims to promote rural vitalization and accelerate agriculture and rural modernization, what kind of difficulties is it going to face?
Well, to develop the Chinese rural area, you need capital, you need the human capacity, and you need information, and also you need mechanization, and you need a market. And the key is still human capacity, because farmers who are not very much educated, they do not know how to organize, they do not really know how to process the marketing information and even to operate the digital technology. So people tend to overemphasize on the way of digital technology, but without the people's skill set that are able to match and fully utilize the technological deliverables, and that's very much a question. And the other issue is the organizational work, because over the past 4 decades, Chinese farmers operate on a small piece of land on a household basis. Now, if we really need to enhance the skill operation, and they need to get more organized through voluntary contract, so that they are able to have the skill and the scope operation, and also to share information, to share the division of labor, and so that we are able to achieve a higher level of productivity and also control. And also the local governments also need further reform so that they reduce less of the red tapes, but cater more to the real need of those farmers and households, and particularly those vulnerable families in the rural area.
Now, detailed plans have been laid out to build a beautiful and harmonious countryside that is desirable to live and work in. What's the significance of achieving such a goal?
Yes, for China, we go for the high quality growth, in which is not only the economic data, but also the quality of the air, quality of the water really mean the quality of life for all the people. So therefore, there needs to be a very delicate balance by maintaining reasonable level of growth and also maintain a green development, particularly in the Chinese rural areas, because all the cities are also surrounded by the rural areas. If you go beyond the 4th or 6th ring road of Beijing, you can see that the suburban and other type of rural areas. So that's, the shared prosperity is not only goal for economic gain, but also the quality of the environment that really matters. And also that it is a critical issue that the Chinese rural area are very much overusing the pesticides and fertilizers, so they need a scientific approach. It not only there to save the environment, but also help to reduce the excessive cost of production by scientific use of those the pesticides and fertilizer, so that and also that more trees are being encouraged to grow, and it's not only for the green yield, but for the total yield of the agricultural produce. That is very important.
Now, I found this very interesting. A new way of breeding pigs in high-rise buildings in China is attracting a lot of attention as people are looking for more efficient ways to promote the industry. What's your view on this method?
Well, that's a very organized fashion, using the modern technology like greenhousing and design the feed with the scientific recipe, and then more of the engineers are there to set up the farm instead of using the old-fashioned pig styles. And then the quality can also be better controlled from the input and the output. And animal diseases or cattle diseases can be detected far in advance so that the quality can be ensured. And the other is that this can also feed the downstream of the entire supply chain, because those butcher houses and the market can really give more confidence and hence a higher price for such a pig with scientific control. And then, farmers can also see that when they can really earn more by using the modern technology, the modern farming technology, they can give up more of the pig style. That saves more of the arable land, and also they can live a healthier life.
Professor Liu, thank you so much. It's always good to speak with you. Thank you for your perspectives. And tomorrow, on our special coverage of Decoding Chinese Modernization, we focus on invigorating China through science and education. Tune in for tomorrow's Global Watch at 4 o'clock GMT. Now, preparations are underway for China's largest annual political gathering, known as the Two Sessions. Today, the first installment of a special series, Pledge to the People, traces the footsteps of Chinese President Xi Jinping in the past year to see how he charted the course for China's modernization. Our reporter Yuli visits a community in the coastal province of Liaoning to see the work being done to improve services, 1 year on from a visit by President Xi.
This is the Mudan community. It was built in the 1980s and has a population of about 10,000 people. When President Xi Jinping visited Liaoning province last year, he stopped by this neighborhood. He learned about the renovation of the old residential area and the state of community services. He also visited residents' homes and spoke with them. Meet Li Shui and Zhang Yunxiu. The couple has lived in this neighborhood in the city of Shenyang for a long time. They never thought the country's leader would come to see them one day. Kindness and warmth are what they remember most about President Xi.
It was just a family chit-chat. The president inquired about our lives and living conditions, asked about work, family life, and children's studies.
Li's home is one of 3,000 households in this 40-year-old neighborhood. Tang Zhengyuan has been a resident of the area for almost 3 decades. He says people once lived in a far less pleasant settings. Their lives have been changed by the renovations.
Walls and roofs of homes were fixed so that people could stay warm. Room temperature rises to 20 degrees Celsius from 16 degrees in winter.
During his inspection of the Mudan community, Xi Jinping said the Chinese dream reflects the happy dreams of ordinary people. Wang Hui is the Communist Party secretary for this community. Wang says President Xi set a higher bar for the work that was done.
President Xi Jinping set higher standards for us in terms of services for the elderly and the young, and he hoped that community care for them could be further improved.
The neighborhood has built a center for the elderly with canteens and rehabilitation rooms on site. Free extracurricular activities are offered to children. President Xi Jinping emphasized that we must ensure and improve the people's well-being in the course of pursuing development and encourage everyone to work hard together to meet the people's aspirations for a better life, as seen in the transformations in the Mudan community. Whenever President Xi Jinping inspects a city, he visits communities to see how local residents live. His worries are always specific. He'd ask questions like, how do you feel about the living environment? Or how are you finding retirement? The open dialogue between China's leader and the people has become an important part of Chinese politics. And this is one of the ways China's government is fulfilling its pledge to the people. Yu Li, CGTN, Shenyang, Liaoning Province.